We try to prevent terrorism. Terrorist watch list, no-fly, no-buy legislation doesn't prevent them. All it would do is restrict our Second Amendment rights. Rather than having a terrorist watch list and using that to restrict people's Second Amendment rights just arbitrarily, we don't know who puts that on there, rather than having a terrorist watch list, why don't we have a terrorist investigate list? Or better yet, a terrorist arrest list, rather than abridging our Second Amendment rights. And the other thing of no-fly, no-buy is that not only did it violate the Second Amendment, it violated the Fifth Amendment and the 14th Amendment. It was entirely unconstitutional.
Thank you. Representative Nolan.
Well, first of all, I'm at a loss to understand why anyone would want to allow someone who is on the terrorist watch list should be allowed to walk into any gun shop, legally or illegally, and buy all the guns and weapons that they want after they've already been put on a list that says they are part of a group that wants to kill America. It's just beyond my comprehension how someone... We have laws in this nation now that prohibit violent criminals from buying guns. Why shouldn't we have people dedicated to killing Americans not have to comply with the same requirements? That's what that was all about. If you're not allowed to fly, you're not allowed to be able to go in and buy guns when you've been put on a list that says you belong to a group that wants to kill Americans.
Mr. Mouse.
Well, the question is, who's putting them on the list? We don't know who's on the list, how to get on the list, how to get off the list, and what bureaucrat particularly is putting their name on the list. So solely by putting your name on a list, you lose your constitutional rights. We've had members of Congress, members of the Senate, members of the media that have been on that list. And so rather than taking away our Second Amendment rights, if we know who has taken a vow to kill Americans, rather than taking away our rights, our God-given liberties, we should go and investigate and arrest those people, not disenfranchise these people out here.
Well, first of all, I've always supported the Second Amendment. I always will. I was 19 or 20 before I had my first chicken and roast beef. We grew up on venison and Dr. Fish and wildlife. That's something that's important to all of us. And I don't know of anyone, quite frankly, who suggested we do away with our Second Amendment rights. Having said that, we have always had any one of a number of gun safety measures, one of which is not allowing violent criminals to go in and to buy guns. In my judgment, we should put people who belong to groups that have proposed violence against America and are not allowed to fly. And by the way, if someone does make a mistake getting on that list, and believe me, our intelligence people, they study these things very hard, very carefully. They are committed to providing a safe protection for the American people. They do their very best. Do they make an occasional mistake? Of course they do. But there's a way to get off that list, and people have been put on it accidentally because of names that are similar to someone else. They get off the list.
Congressman Nolan went way over time. I just want to two points. First of all, Congressman Nolan is the only person I've ever met that says he's for your Second Amendment, but yet gets an F rating, a failing grade from the National Rifle Association. And they're not a bunch of people in $2,000 suits, because I go to their banquets and they're wearing Carhartts. That's the first point. The second point is that you said there's a way to get off that list. I hope somebody somewhere is able to educate the American public that if they ever find their name on that list, maybe you can put that on your website. How do you get off your terrorist watch list if you're, or the no-fly, no-buy, or I should say the no-fly list, if they're ever on there? I can't figure out a way how anybody that would be erroneously put on other than a public uproar or the media causing sensation over it.
Well,
is there a mechanism?
My staff and I'd be glad to show you how to get off the list.
No, please, I will take the, please put that on.
I'm serious.
Put that on your website.
I'm not going to sit down here and do it right now.
But do you know?
But if you want to meet me out the back afterwards here, I'll show you how you can get off.
But do you know the process? Because I've never heard of it.
Yeah, there is a process.
Please, Chuck.
Move on to the federal minimum wage. The question is whether you think the federal minimum wage should be increased and what sort of impact might that have. Congressman Nolan, you first.
Well, I support it, an increase in the minimum wage. Again, you know, perspective is so important on all this stuff. It was so easy for my generation to go to college and get an education, enjoy the blessings of prosperity and opportunities that flowed from that. tell us that for the minimum wage today to be what it was when I was a kid, it'd have to be like 16, 17 bucks an hour. So why shouldn't we give to today's generation the same blessings, the same benefits that my generation enjoyed? And the simple truth is, people who are making 7 bucks an hour, you raise their salary to 15 bucks an hour, they're not investing it in Wall Street. They're spending it on Main Street. And so it increases business all up and down Main Street, at the restaurants, at the hardware store, with the contractors, with the builders, with the tradesmen. It actually boosts the economy. What's happening in this country is the rich are getting rich in degrees unparalleled in human history. We need to look for and find ways to rebuild the middle class that became a model for the world. I've seen it in my international business. People wanted to become like us. We're losing our way. We got to get back to rebuilding this middle class. And in my judgment, one of the ways, one of many, to start with, is by raising the minimum wage to a living wage.
Mr. Mills on minimum wage?
Well, first of all, we're talking, the question is about the federal minimum wage.
That's right.
You know what? There's a different economy in New York City. There's a different economy in Seattle. There's a different economy in Los Angeles and Miami. Those economies don't exist in our part of Minnesota. So I'm not saying I'm against a state minimum wage. I'm saying I'm against a federal minimum wage because $15 an hour would put a lot of people out of business all over our part of Minnesota. You raise those wages, then up to $15, and all of a sudden the kid, first-time job, he gets replaced with an automated ordering machine at McDonald's. And that's what happens. They get replaced by automation. And those young people, those first jobs, they're designed to be stepping stone jobs. And if we're talking about a minimum wage trying to be a living wage, that goes back to my point that this is the worst economy, the third or fourth worst economy of all time. What we need to be doing is talking about the maximum wage, not the minimum wage. But a federal minimum wage would put a lot of people out of work in our part of Minnesota. And if there's a state minimum wage, well, that's something that we have to look at based on our various economies all across our part of Minnesota. But no, a federal minimum wage would be a disaster. State minimum wage,
Congressman Nolan, 30-second vote on that. If both candidates please respect their.
Well, first of all, I saw some stats here just the other day that said that the increase in income for the average person went up almost $4,000 or $5,000, the single largest increase in generations. So many people in our economy are doing well. Those states, those communities that have increased the minimum wage to $15 an hour are doing well. To have each state with its own and different wage requirements creates unnecessary competition to the advantage or disadvantage of others. We are a diverse nation, but we are a nation. And it doesn't matter where you grow up, where you live. If you go in and you put in an honest day's labor, you should be able to entitle to a living wage from that work. That's what this is really all about. Respect for labor and respect for the work that people do and making sure they get paid for the work that they do.
Mr. Mills, final 30 seconds.
yeah, and that's really my really quick rebuttal. You know, you talk about one nation. Well, there's something called the Bill of Rights. There's something called the 10th Amendment. The states have the right to set the minimum wage, and the federal government doing it is an unconstitutional overreach. That's my response.
Well, the courts have ruled that it is constitutional, so I don't know what you're reading.
I read the actual 10th Amendment.
I'm not talking about the 10th Amendment, I'm talking about the court's interpretation of it. And they have interpreted
Yeah.
that a federal minimum wage is indeed legal and appropriate action for the federal government of the United States today.
And they've interpreted a lot of stuff very broadly. But it's still
That's their
written.
job.
It's still written in plain English.
Gentlemen, we will move on to another question. Thank you to the audience, and please refrain from making noise. We make more progress here. The question is related to Medicare and Social Security. With baby boomers enrolling at record levels, how can we sustain Medicare and Social Security? And this is for Mr. Mills.
Oh, thank you. First of all, Obamacare has taken $716 billion out of Medicare. And here's what it means to the people of the 8th Congressional District. We have 81,000 residents in the 8th Congressional District that are enrolled in Medicare Advantage based on projections from when Obamacare was enacted, in 2017, they will have a 17% cut to their benefits, which will, in essence, be a $1,840 cut. $1,840 cut to their benefits. The first thing we can do is to replace and repeal Obamacare and return that $716 billion back to Medicare where it belongs. The other part is that, you know what, we've made promises to our seniors, and a promise made is a promise kept. And we have to do everything we can to keep those promises.
Thank you. Representative Nolan.
Well, first of all, Social Security, Medicare, two of the most important things this country has ever done to provide income security, health care, life, longevity for the people who work so hard all their lives and earn those benefits. The last time we debated on this issue in the last stage, we didn't talk about Obamacare, we talked about Social Security and Medicare. In response to that question, you said all options are on the table. And that was in response to what you would do about Social Security and Medicare. We talked about some of the people I associate with. I noticed you just had Paul Ryan out here to help you raise money. Before that, you had John Boehner out here. They are the chief advocates for privatizing Social Security. They want to turn Social Security over to Wall Street. You want to talk about disasters? Turn our senior citizens' hard-earned benefits, to those gamblers on Wall Street, turn Medicare back over to the insurance industry. The both would be a disaster. There are ways to protect Social Security and Medicare. One would be to lift the cap on income, remove the cap, and suddenly the system is good again. Why are you and others taking two great programs that have lifted more people out of poverty, given them income security, given them the health care they need? Why are you so anxious when one of them is good for 20 years, the other is good for 30 years, according to the projections? Why are you so anxious to turn this over to the Wall Street billionaire gamblers and to the insurance industry? These are earned benefits. These people are entitled to them, and under my watch, there is no way that they will ever be taken away from them or turned over to any Wall Street billionaires or insurance companies.
Congressman Nolan, with all due respect, that's a lie. I sat right here on the stage and I watched that videotape several times. What I said was that both houses of Congress, both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, not shunting it off to a Simpson Bowl-style committee, have to come together and put all their ideas on the table, have to put all their cards on the table, have an honest discussion. But the first condition that I laid out last time on this debate is that it be bipartisan. So if it's a bipartisan solution, because we can't do for Social Security and Medicare what we did to the American people with Obamacare, it has to be bipartisan. I said that on this stage. So if you believe that yourself or members of your party would be in favor of a privatized system for Social Security, then that would be the only way that would be true. Other than that, it's intellectually inconsistent to say that we're privatizing Social Security.
Well, I read the transcript too, and you said all options are on the table.
My first condition is bipartisan.
You said all options are on the table.
As long as it's bipartisan.
And I don't care if it's bipartisan, nonpartisan, some weird partisanship. I am not about to privatize Social Security and Medicare. I don't care where it comes from.
And you know what I'm for? I'm for open and honest dialogue that's going to fix the problem, because I don't know what numbers you're looking at, but the CEO numbers, it looks like Medicare could be insolvent as soon as 2023, and depending on how we're doing, it's either 2034 or 2033 that Social Security is going to be on the ropes or facing insolvency. So we have a bigger problem, and just saying, kicking the can down the road, saying, oh, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, it's not a problem. We can keep going on this course. No, we need to fix it now, but it has to be a bipartisan solution. And yes, I am for an open and honest dialogue, and when I go to Washington, D.C., I will reach across the aisle and work with Democrats to try to fix it.
Well, you know what, I have
another question. We're very close here to the end of our forum.
And David, just for your permission, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to due respect to the time. Gentlemen, with consideration to the Iran deal, Guantanamo and more, how can you develop a stronger and smarter foreign policy? Representative Nolan will begin with you.
Well, first of all, the Iran nuclear deal was a victory for diplomacy. Without that deal, Iran was positioned to develop 12 nuclear weapons within a matter of a couple of weeks. They now no longer have that capacity. So we avoided war, we avoided a conflict, we've assured that Iran will not have nuclear weapons going forward into the future. Others have proposed that we do nothing, other than perhaps have to use the military option and get ourselves involved in another long, costly war in the Middle East. I'm proud of that accomplishment and what it's accomplished. We avoided a war, and by the way, the military option is still on the table. If they cheat, if they don't honor the terms of the agreement, that option is still there. But the good news is we kept them from getting 12 nuclear weapons, threatened the survival of the world, not to mention another costly war in the Middle East.
Mr. Mills?
We had their hands behind their backs. The sanctions were working. They were squirming, and that's why they went to the negotiating table. It was them that had to come to us. Otherwise, if they were really, truly on the brink of a nuclear weapon, which I respectfully disagree with Congressman Nolan, there's no way that they would have come. We've played this game with North Korea, where we negotiate, and finally they show up, after sanctions are relieved with a nuclear weapon before. Iran is now on a glide path to a nuclear weapon. They will be a nuclear threshold state. We have given them $150 billion in money, in hard assets that it's fungible. It's going to go to fund terrorists. As a matter of fact, it's already proven to go to fund terrorists. And then they had 4 American hostages. I'm going to call them hostages. And we paid ransom. Nobody can say it wasn't ransom. $400 million that was flown in 500 euro notes. And it was a quid pro quo for those released. 500 euro notes is what international drug traffickers and terrorists used to trade in their goods. And so that's what we've done. We have empowered Iran. And not only that, and we've talked about, well, if they cheat, they have been cheating. Part of that agreement was them stopping testing ballistic missiles. Guess what? They're testing ballistic missiles. They are a nuclear threshold state, and they are already breaking that agreement.
Well, part of the agreement, they had to dispose of 98% of all of their nuclear-grade fissile material. There's unprecedented, which they have done. They had to pour concrete into their centrifuges. We have unprecedented inspections, including cameras, 24/7 at every one of their nuclear sites. And if, in fact, they do cheat, we'll know. And we can then decide what we want to do about it. In the meantime, we didn't give them $150 billion. We didn't give them a dime as a result of that agreement. That was money that the other 6 countries had been holding in their banks that belonged to the Iranians. And conversations with the Secretary of State recently, so far, we've been able to count that they've gotten back 3 of those $1 billion. The only thing to write on is that the sanctions work. We had them on their back, and we used every lever that we could to make sure that they would not have nuclear weapons. I don't know where you're getting your information. I've sat in on the classified briefings, and there have been public statements to the effect that if we did not have this agreement, they were able to move forward in a matter of several weeks to develop as many as 12 nuclear weapons.
Mr. Mills, you're entitled to the final 30 seconds on your question.
Yeah, the inspection regimes are incomplete because they get to inspect and self-report a lot of their own facilities, and also the IAEA and other regulatory bodies have to give them notice before those inspections go forward. And Iran continues to be a belligerent nation. They have not been brought into the fold. This deal has done nothing other than embolden them and make us weaker.
Well, at the end of the day, it's all about stopping the spread of nuclear weapons, which not only threaten peace, but perhaps threaten our very survival here on Earth. And I don't know what's going to happen 50 years from now. That'll be for the next generation to decide. But I'm grateful for the fact that we've kept them from nuclear weapons.
We should be going to our concluding remarks. So I am not sure which one we proceed with.
Congressman Nolan will go first, and then Mr. Councilman Mills will have the final say.
We have 2 minutes each. So
Minutes
each
each,
of
yes.
these gentlemen to share with us their concluding remarks. Representative Nolan.
Well, again, I want to thank everybody for participating here. Thank Mr. Mills. As was pointed out earlier, this is an opportunity for people to see the difference between who we want to send to Washington, D.C. And I'd like to start with a perspective that I briefly mentioned. And that is the last generation was an incredible generation in this country. We doubled the life expectancy, created a middle class that unparalleled, became a model for the world. We saw liberties, prosperities, and opportunities really for many in this country, unparalleled anywhere in human history. And now we have a new generation of politicians that want to roll all that back. They want to roll back the policies that gave us water we could drink, air we could breathe, and the economies that built this middle class. And the fact is we've lost our way. We are seeing a situation where a powerful super billionaire class is getting richer in degrees unparalleled in human history. As I said, the middle class is getting crushed. The great opportunities that we enjoyed in our generation are not being passed on to the next generation. And that's really what this election contest is all about, is who are you for? You want to change the political system that allowed the rich and the powerful to fix our politics and fix our economy for their benefit at the expense of the middle class? Do you want to put an end to these trade deals that have moved so many of our jobs and our manufacturing overseas? Well, this is all about who you're for. This is all about who you're for. I hope I've made that clear who I'm for, the working men and women of this country. That's why I'm here today. That's why I ask for the continued support of the people of Minnesota's 8th Congressional District so I can continue to go to Washington and work for them and be their champion and represent their interests and get this country back on track again.
Thank you. Mr. Mills.
I met my wife at the Nisswa JC's street dance. She was a divorced mother of 3. And I learned from her that she had to, at wintertime, turn the thermostat down to 60 degrees in order to keep her monthly budget on track. I also learned that she had choices every week of whether to go to the grocery store or whether to put fuel in her car. And as I go around our part of Minnesota, I'm hearing that story more and more and more. It's the same story over and over again, without a doubt. We have people that are stuck in the middle. They're trying so hard to get ahead, but they can't. But they're making too much to qualify for benefits, and they feel like they're stuck in the middle and they're getting hosed. And that's almost universal. Whether it's at a gate creek, whether it's on Main Street, whether it's talking to anybody anywhere, there is so much anger and frustration all over our part of Minnesota. And people are waking up. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result. If nothing changes, nothing changes. We have economically blighted towns all throughout our part of Minnesota. We have an epidemic of drug abuse that's quite literally killing our friends and neighbors and our children's friends. Something has to change. I would love to have the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. and represent you to be part of that change. I will fight for the people that are stuck in the middle and give them a pathway to get ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for this very civil and this very